welcome to Coffee Conversations from the Coffee Shops. We are at the Florida Roofing Show in Kissimmee, Florida. My name is Heidi Ellsworth, and we're here to find out what is happening in Florida. As you know, these live coffee conversations, we bring the best of the best, our panelists, to come and talk about what's happening. What are the challenges? What are the opportunities? Because as we all know in roofing, what starts in Florida and California tends to move inside the states overall. So we want to hear what's happening. So this will be on demand, as you all know, and it will be available within 24 to 48 hours on our site. If you chat it up on YouTube, chat it up wherever you're watching right now, and let us know. We'll get some of that information back to you. So let's get started. Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Okay, we're going to start with some introductions. If you could tell us your name and then also your company. Tell us a little bit about your company and what you do.
Hi, my name is Anissa Westfall. I am with Westfall Roofing. We are a residential contractor in Tampa, Florida. We also have branches in Orlando, Bradenton, and Northport. I'm the Chief Marketing Officer. I've been in the marketing space for over 20 years in corporate America, and then had a baby during the pandemic and came to work in this beautiful industry of roofing. So here I am.
Tell you what, once you're in roofing, you never leave, right? That's kind of the truth.
It's definitely a need, and not a luxury. So that's good for us.
And it's a fun industry to be involved in. Thank you.
It's fun.
Thank you for being here today. This is really great. I'm excited. Tracy.
Hello.
Hello.
My name is Tracy Donalds. I'm with FRSA Solutions. We are a training, coaching, and consulting company. We help roofing contractors grow their repair and maintenance.
So much. And you do a lot of work in Florida.
We do a lot of work in Florida. There's a lot of repair and maintenance. There's a lot of rain in Florida. So there's a lot of customers that start small and end up to be very big customers who have very big problems that pay very big dollars behind it.
I think so. In fact, you're sitting next to one, which we'll get to real soon. But I'm telling you, some of the best service and maintenance managers are here in Florida. You see them at all the shows. We see them at some of the top things. So yeah, this is a hot spot. So speaking of which, Michael, can you introduce yourself?
Yeah, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Michael Black. I'm the Vice President of Service and Maintenance for Sutter Roofing Company. We are a commercial roofing contractor, family-owned, fifth generation here in Florida and West Virginia. And my basic duties are to run the service department throughout the state of Florida and Lower Georgia.
That's great. Everyone knows Sutter Roofing. There you go. And Johnny, I'm always so excited to have you on the panel. Please introduce yourself and talk about your company.
Thanks, Heidi. My name is Johnny Walker. I'm the National Technical Manager for Roofing and Waterproofing for ICP. ICP is Innovative Chemical Products, but I really work for the APOC side of it, which is our commercial roofing and waterproofing products line. I've been with the company, going on 16 years in roofing for about 40. So long career in roofing. But we're a manufacturer of roof coatings, roof cements, underlayments, adhesives, foam adhesives, foam insulation. I mean, the list goes on and on with the ICP family. But even just in that roofing and waterproofing, just such a wide line. Our one of our corporate offices is right here in Tampa.
Yep.
And I've been in the Florida market now for the last 21 years.
That's amazing. And we have to say, APOC and ICP is a sponsor of our Cody's Coffee Shop.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yay.
2 years ago, right now, that we launched it here with you.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
Time flies. Yeah.
Time does fly. It's crazy. So I'm really excited to kind of hear what you guys are experiencing and what you're thinking. So Anissa, I would love to start with you just on some of the challenges that you're seeing right now for roofing contractors in Florida.
Well, I mean, construction is definitely being hit hard by immigration right now. We're seeing that firsthand, very real time. And then, of course, the laborers that are staying are charging more per square, right?
Yeah.
So I think the New York Times predicted a 20% increase in construction labor. And then to top that off, we are experiencing material increases as well. So we're kind of getting a double whammy right now with labor and materials, but particularly labor at the moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and it seems like a lot of this is hitting and we're not going to get into politics. There's no place to get into politics, so I'm not going to go there. But I am going to say a little bit self-inflicted.
100%.
And so that's kind of for contractors. That's a little frustrating.
Yes.
So as we start looking at this, I think it really shows how important advocacy is, and us being involved in some of these decisions because the roofing and construction industries are getting hit.
Yeah.
And really, we need to be speaking our minds on this.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to hit the consumer at the end of the day, right?
Right.
They're going to be paying 20, 30, 40% more for the same roof we put on 2 years ago.
Right.
It's just, I mean, some of my guys are scared to go to certain jobs, and being on the road. And it's just, it's a big deal, big deal right now.
And when you add, I mean, I just want to kind of bring this in because I think it kind of goes with what you're talking about, what is going to be really affecting the consumers, the people who are buying roofs is insurance. So if you add what's going on with insurance companies, that really puts a lot of homeowners into a tough situation.
Yeah, we actually in Florida had a little bit of the leg up across the nation with the insurance thing, right? So I'd say about 3 or 4 years ago, insurance companies were canceling customers left and right if your roof wasn't 15 years old, right? Or older. There's a couple of legislations that passed in 2023, I think, that sort of eased that consumer pain a little bit, where they allotted some repairing and things like that rather than straight replacement. So we have seen that in Florida calm down a little bit. We noticed that in the business, but then we are faced with hurricanes here in Florida. So last year, 2 direct to Tampa, Bradenton area, which is, where we are at. So that adds a whole other layer of fun in Florida.
It really does. Yeah. And we're starting hurricane season again, and they're predicting a very active season. So we're always thinking of you guys.
Yeah.
Tracy, what are you seeing with your customers and just overall in Florida, some of the challenges especially on the commercial side?
I really see it, like you said, it's in the labor market, it's in the training. I find a lot of contractors who still aren't necessarily competing for jobs. They're competing for labor. And if they can find the labor, they'll find it.
Yeah.
To Lisa's point, people are not going to be paying more. People are going to be
waiting.
And when you're waiting, that makes it a lot easier to sell versus something.
Yeah.
So those contractors that can go out and find laborers, or workers from other trades. It's not robbing free.
Right.
Right. And I've seen a lot of contractors simply taking the word roofing out of the job post.
Really?
Right? Especially because I come from the commercial market, right?
Yeah.
We have a lot of commercial roofers who won't step foot on a residential roof. Right? And a lot of owners who are afraid of heights.
Yeah.
Commercial roofing. And when we don't know roofing, and we see the word roof in a job description, we think, oh, well, I don't want to get on that house.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to call them. Right? And it's almost a portion where if we want change, we need to see action. We need to get there and we need to sell the future roofers on roofing just as hard as selling customers on why they choose us.
Yeah, that backlog. I mean, we're typically 4 to 6 weeks out. If I might have to lay off like half of my labor in the next week or so. Guess what happens to that timeline? You go from 4 to 6 weeks to 8 weeks, and then right, you start losing that business because people aren't going to wait that long. It's we're on this cusp, right, of like, oh man, things can really potentially go south. So I'm really hoping there's something, some change, something that happens, please, right? I mean,
let the voices rise.
Yes, exactly.
Let them hear what's going on. Michael, are you seeing kind of the same thing?
It's definitely labor, especially skilled labor. It's hard to get somebody to come into this industry now. Everybody's getting older. The generation's getting older. We're losing a lot of the true roofers, like I like to call them, guys who've been doing it their whole life. Guys that live and breathe roofing. They're getting older. They're getting out of their industry. And it's hard to bring young people back in. It's very tough, especially here in Florida. It's very tough, very humid. And that's our biggest problem is just trying to, when we hire somebody, or turn into a lot of training, a lot of onboarding, a lot of training. There's just not that skilled roofer out there anymore that just walks in and says, hey, I can do it.
Yeah, and there's no trade school,
nope,
right? There's no trade school like HVAC and electricity, whatever.
There's no cross training. Now you got TPO, guys just do TPO. They don't know what belting is. They never touched a kettle. They don't know how to pour. You got guys in torch that don't know how to weld TPO.
Right.
Back in the day, you did everything.
Right.
Roofer did everything across the board, and now it's a single
Specialized
trade. So we're seeing that as a big problem for labor is a big problem. The second problem I would say for us in the commercial world is because of the storms and the hurricanes, the regulations and insurance is just going crazy. Previous years when we had hurricanes and your roof blew off, it was okay, it was a storm, the roof blew off. Not no more. After the three storms last year, it's the roofer's fault. It was the wrong installation. It was the wrong spec done. The insurance companies are doing anything they can not to help you out with people who unfortunately have a blow off due to a storm.
Right.
And a lot of specifications are changing. A lot of roofs blew off and failed. That now we're going through upcoming code changes and all kinds of stuff here in Florida. That's really going to affect a lot. So that's something that we'll just get into now, only being 7, 8 months after the three storms.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And we keep hearing about this. We keep hearing about how insurance is different on steep compared to low slope, but it's still hitting all sides as it's going through.
Tightening all the screws.
Tightening all the
Yeah.
screws.
You know who believes in climate change? The insurance companies.
Yeah.
That's who believes in it.
Yeah, there's no, whether it's commercial, residential, it doesn't matter. There's insurance companies are actually, I feel, taking advantage of the situation.
Yeah.
And they're just making it so difficult to help out the customer when it comes to they're having insurance claims.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I mean, I think with storms coming so frequently and much stronger these days, right? The insurance companies are, I mean, a lot of them are leaving the state of Florida, right? Because it's not profitable for them. Citizens is our like backup insurance company, and even they're having issues. So, I mean, that whole homeowner insurance industry is
Just like the program in California.
Yes.
Right.
Insurance program in California.
right,
Yeah.
right.
Well, and to all of your point, if you think about the perfect storm, and I'm not saying that as a pun, but I'm just saying when you have roofs that, with all the regulations, insurance companies are denying stuff, so then they get put off on getting fixed or repaired. You also don't have enough labor to get up there to repair them.
Yep.
Then you're going to have more damage internally because
Yep.
water and
cost more.
everything and mold, which is big here in Florida. So yeah, it's kind of all feeding each other really as we're going along.
Yep.
I know on the coding side, Johnny, that there's been the RTMA has been really involved on really trying to work in Florida. I think they have some advocacy at the Jacksonville.
So, I mean, when we talk about the insurance companies, one of the things that affects us is the restoration of commercial roofs. That's a huge business for us. And, just at the same time they were making you replace a 15-year-old roof that was in perfect condition.
Right.
They're telling commercial owners, hey, no, you can't restore that, you have to tear it off.
Really?
So we face the same thing. We're still seeing some of that. Now, depending on the insurance company, we're able to work with a little bit. And, we're actually seeing more and more building owners that are somewhat self-insuring, because it's becoming next to impossible to get insurance.
To get it, and then it's not helpful.
We had during the last hurricane, we had a warranty claim that, they literally had a $500,000 deductible, and it's, so they needed a new roof, but they're like, hey, could we Band-Aid it?
That's a great point, because in the state of Florida, right, even with homeowners, usually there's a hurricane deductible.
Correct.
There's your typical deductible and a hurricane deductible. It's somewhere around $10,000 sometimes.
Unless they had sustained major building damage, it wasn't enough.
Right?
Yeah.
So they just had to eat that. So they're looking at what they're paying these insurance companies,
Right.
and looking at these massive deductibles
Right.
and going, well, why don't we just put that money in an account? Put it
Exactly.
into something, an annuity that's going to accrue money, and
Right.
just leave it in there
Right.
Yeah.
for the what if.
Right.
So we're starting to see some of that. To your guys' point about labor, this monkey is, before the immigration law, and we're starting to see that hurt some. We've been talking about the labor shortage in Florida for a decade.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
the training, and there's a couple that have tried to get trade schools going, and
Yeah.
nationally or societally, we try to push into higher education, but we kind of got away from the trade school side of it,
Yeah.
and construction trades, and that's really hurting not just our industry, but every construction trade industry. So
Yeah.
it's a widespread
It's
problem.
a great point, right? It's like the whole industry leaves it up to the contractors to train this next generation of technicians. And, there's
Yes.
no standardized way, other than code, right? But
Yeah.
it's pretty wild. It literally is kind of the wild, wild west still.
Yeah.
in the industry. Yeah.
It really is. And we're seeing initiatives like pro certification from NRCA.
Right.
They have some training. We're seeing
Yes.
some of these things starting, but I don't think they're going fast enough,
Yeah.
to your point, and to be able to
Or
get the
scaling
training.
out, geographically.
Yeah. What are you kind of to that point with the, and you said there's no vocational schools.
No.
What are you hearing of anything in Florida where they're trying to, because I know last year they had a couple, Tim with architectural metals, I think, he had a couple kids who participated in Skills USA from Florida. One of them was a winner. And so what are you guys, are you getting your companies involved with some of the local schools or with the Skills USA, or is there anything actually at this point?
We haven't. We've been trying to find some kind of program that actually works. There's programs out there, but it's kind of defining the area of Florida that that program's in. So, like, I know in Miami there's like apprentice training program, but I really can't see guys out of Tampa or Sarasota, Miami area training as much as we can. So it's very few and sporadic, and we are heavily looking into it, but there hasn't been that like one program or that works for everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pro certification by NRCA is good. They have actually a service program now that gets certified for good service.
Yeah.
We're doing that, and we got our foreman on the production side of the foreman. He's getting it done everything, and that's a really good training. But again, it's something that's not local, not sporadic. It's something that's available to everybody. That's something that should be worked on by FRSA and other organizations to get some kind of apprentice program going.
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
I found in working on the markets is, excuse me, it's taking someone to step up and say, hey, I'm going to be the leader, the mentor, the person who's going to run this program in my area.
Right.
I know in the Dallas Fort Worth area, Cape Coast, where I used to work at, went to the Construction Foundation of America and worked a local program out. And again, it's got to be local until it
Scale,
can be
yeah.
national,
Yeah.
right?
And that was the ABC.
Yeah.
Yeah. Builders and contractors.
Right. So there are the programs out there, but it very well may take, hey, I'm going to create this program, and it's going to take a little sweat equity. Go after your future employees as hard as you go after your future sale,
Yeah.
right?
And
You work that hard.
I think actually Rob Hasselbeck, hopefully I said that right, was working with K-Post. He's from Florida, working with K-Post on the ABC training. But again, it only goes so far.
Right.
And then then it kind of, those companies are using it, but we're not getting the word out to get everybody kind of doing it, which is our job, right?
Yeah.
I try to get it out.
I feel like if there was like a community college program that could be replicated
Yeah.
throughout the states, connecting with that, like more of an educational, an actual curriculum, an actual
Right.
certification, an actual thing you can go get an AA in or something, whatever, right?
And we're seeing that kind of on the construction management side,
Yes,
where
yeah.
they're doing the roofing, but we aren't
Right.
seeing that in the skilled labor.
Correct. Yeah.
On the ground.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Everybody
In the
wants to
field.
run a business, but not actually do the work.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so,
Yeah.
I tell you, it's a lot. Well, as we're kind of talking about that labor shortage, but I also want to talk a little bit. I want to go back to kind of where you started, get some different perspectives here on inflation, on what's going on between the tariffs, between the materials. We've heard that there's going to be possibly some material shortages looking later in the year into next year. It's right now. It's the word that we all hate right now, uncertainty, that is out there. But let's start down here with you, Johnny.
Sure.
Like, kind of, what are you from a manufacturer's standpoint? What are we looking at?
So, I mean, the moment we heard the word tariff,
Yeah.
we started looking at who are we talking about, what are the levels that they're talking about, what countries are going to be affected the most. For example, I mean, China. Looking at what raw material maybe we buy from them, and if India is going to be left out of it, then maybe we look at India options or other types of things like that. So we did that immediately.
Right.
We just like with all the manufacturers out there, it kind of a nervousness started. You start to see prices starting to rise, and it's like we haven't received anything quite yet. It's, you know what I mean? But you already saw that nervousness, everybody kind of jumping on board. So as far as supply chain, we haven't had an issue yet because we were fairly well diversified
Mm-hmm.
and saying, hey, having multiple people we can get this particular resin or titanium dioxide from. So our purchasing team was already kind of primed and ready for that. And we went, the reason they were is because we went through this a little while ago with
2020,
Yes.
the
2021.
shortages, right? So we had to make those relationships. Well, we maintained them.
Yeah.
Did we go back to some of the original? Absolutely. For price and quality issues, right? But, we did that. So for us, it's been, I don't want to say painless, but, we've seen some increases in pricing, so we've had to carry them on, which, that goes on to distribution, and then from distribution goes on to our roofing contractors. And to your point, you're seeing, the cost of labor going up and the cost of pricing going up, and as I say, there's no increase anywhere in that chain that doesn't affect the end user.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
So true. So true. And as you're really kind of looking at that, Michael, roof restorations, your overall, what are you hearing?
So again, like he mentioned, we learned a lot through COVID and the material shortage. So like he said, we kept that. We looked at a distributor and manufacturer as a strategic partner.
Yes.
We kept that relationship, but we just didn't dump them after the materials came back. We kept it up with them. We try to be proactive. The pricing went up the last couple of months. It's kind of leveling off, but now you're hearing the uncertainty about material shortage. So
Right.
if you have a strategic partner you're working with,
Yes.
we know we have certain jobs coming up within certain jobs. We can buy ahead of time
Yes.
and get the pricing locked in.
Right.
But you have to develop a relationship. It has to be a team effort. You just can't be, I don't care how big your roofing contractor you are, you have to have a relationship to make everything work and fall in place. Because
Right.
there's so many uncertainties out there.
Yeah.
So we develop relationships, strategic partners. We work with them. We keep our estimators and everybody know, hey, the price is going up in a couple of weeks, so start bumping it up. Let the customers know ahead of time, just clear, hey, there may be some price increases. So kind of at some point, sometimes too, get it going quicker. But
Yeah.
I mean, that's always good.
We were
Like,
talking to somebody yesterday about that, and she said the exact same thing. She was like, they want us to hold, and we're like, we can't hold. Do you want it? Do it now.
But
Yeah.
you have to be honest. You can't make
Yeah.
promises. You have to do what you say you do in this industry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's what kind of how we address it. Just build a relationship, work with your partners, and then just be honest with your customers.
And make it happen. Yeah. That is so true.
You have to communicate, right?
Yeah.
If you communicate, if you do the research, you can be better prepared in what situation your business is in, you can be better prepared,
Yeah.
right? So you have to have the relationship. You have to communicate. You have to be honest. One of the things I often bring up in my training to repair and maintenance departments is about communication because no one likes a surprise. Right? No one likes a bad surprise.
Especially if it costs me money.
Right?
Yeah.
If it's going to be bad, get to the customer, communicate that ASAP,
Yeah.
do it in the best way possible, not by email, by phone, or in person, right? But if you communicate with your customers ahead of time, and I do believe that everybody's favorite roofing lawyer Trent Cotney has a clause that you could put into your estimates for the tariffs and stuff like that. Communicate, be upfront.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah, we have a whole coffee conversations with Trent talking about that alone. And he's here's the thing, he's sharing those clauses, he's sharing those contract editions free. He's just like, as the industry here, you need this. And
Yeah,
you need
ask
to do that.
questions, ask your contributors. I mean, look what Larry said. Larry knows about it, right?
Yeah.
He's going to know more than your average roofer or person. Ask
Yeah.
the people who know.
Right.
Go to the experts.
Exactly. What are you seeing on the residential side?
Yeah, I mean, just to piggyback what Mike was talking about was we lived through COVID as well, right? So I remember I shifted marketing strategy to sell on colors because of our partnerships
Yeah.
with our distributors, we were able to maintain a lot of the color selection, whereas GF was limiting their colors and we were still with OC. So right, I had to shift my marketing strategy, to kind of go, there, right? And so I guess what's the most frustrating part, right? Is your purchasing people are like now looking up tariffs and right. It's like business is hard alone, right? And everybody's busy, right? We're doing stuff, and now here comes this just huge detour where
Right.
everybody has to refocus and reshift on something else, right? And it's like it's just a distraction. It's just not very pro business, in my opinion. But,
Yes. I really agree too. And one of the things that I'm kind of thinking about is what, and I love it what you're saying from a marketing standpoint, because one of the things that I think contractors have had to do is really to figure out how to shift quickly, right?
Yes.
So
Yes.
if you're looking at different products, this one might be surprising, where this one is a little bit more stable, but maybe it's not something that you have actually installed before.
Right.
Now you need to get the training, now you
Yeah.
need to bring it in and
Yeah.
kind of figure out what are you seeing product wise, especially around the Florida context. I mean, when you're talking about obviously some of the strictest codes in the country,
Mm-hmm.
and then also with hurricanes,
Mm-hmm.
what are some of the products? What are you doing product wise to kind of do things different or look at things different? And what products do you see kind of maybe rising that maybe weren't so popular before?
Well, I know at the state level here in Florida, there have been a lot of chatter about asphalt shingle and whether or not it can hold up these storms and all this thing. I know FRSA is
Yeah.
trying to come back to say no, if it's installed correctly, if you
Yes.
adhere to the manufacturers, it's a great roof, especially after Peel and Stick in 2010.
Yeah.
But they're starting to turn their attention more to metal.
Mm-hmm.
And look, we worked Hurricane Ian, right, and down in Southwest Florida
Yeah.
in 2021, 22. And I remember, like, my husband would say, roof was gone, metal held up, gone, metal held up. So, I
Yeah.
mean, we witnessed it firsthand after a Cat 4 storm. Metal was vastly superior, but it's also 4 times the cost.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you just think about what is that long-term solution, right? I mean, I think about some of my family's from Puerto Rico, right? Like, you don't have shingle roofs in Puerto Rico, right? It's concrete roofs.
Yeah.
It's flat concrete roofs.
Yeah.
So it's like, unless we start thinking like Florida, we're gonna we're gonna take 50 million people and start transitioning to them like a Caribbean island. How, right? It's just not scalable,
Yeah.
right? So there's chatter, but it's like at the end of the day, shingle for residential is
Right.
the best value, and if it's done correctly, it's a good roof.
And that's what I was going to say. We know that there are shingles out there that have passed Dade County that
Yeah.
are good roofs when installed correctly that work really well. But I love what you said. You just kind of really tapped me. Is like, do we need to start thinking different, right? When
right.
you think about the Caribbean islands
Right.
with climate change,
Correct.
and the insurance companies believing in climate change,
Yes.
do we need to start building different? And
Yeah.
I think that is really something from
Well,
a roofing.
we're starting to see some of that. When
You
you look
are.
at, residential construction going from 15, 30 seconds to 19, 30 seconds, and Miami-Dade with wind uplift codes and nail fasteners and all the new pressures that they're designing to. So I think, with the metal, absolutely, we saw the same thing going
Yep.
through there. Held up, didn't.
Yep.
But the other thing I saw was the newer subdivisions, where even the residential shingles held up better. So the newer code is better, even
Yeah.
with the shingles.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I think metal, I mean, if you're in a high velocity hazard zone, that might be the way to go. And I think if it does go that way, it'll probably be in only those zones, and it'll be new construction code, not necessarily
Yeah.
re-roof code.
Yeah.
You know,
But that'll take decades,
exactly.
to get there.
Not going to happen overnight.
No.
Yeah. And on the commercial side, do you see things changing as in how they're building the buildings to kind of combat?
Yeah, definitely. Especially after the past few storms, like I said, there's a lot of systems that failed. And in my opinion, I don't think they failed because of the roof. I mean, the most blow-offs I've seen that failed is because the AC unit blew off or the vent blew off. And once it blew off and opened up the roof, that was the fail point.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
But still, to an insurance company, they're like, your roof wasn't installed right. So
Yeah.
we are seeing, working with consultants and everything, we're seeing stronger specifications, higher uplift pressures that we have to meet now that they're specing out for the private industry.
Yeah.
So we are seeing that change slowly come in because they don't want to do this again. If another hurricane comes through, they want to have rock solid documentation. This is what we spec. This is what was installed. And then so they don't have to deal with what they're going through right now.
Yeah. And we're hearing too a lot more about anchors, anchor products or anchors on the roof to anchor down everything.
Yep.
That it's not as it was before. So are you seeing that too
Yeah.
changing?
Yeah, with the industrial companies that we work with, like the Cokes and the Pepsis, they have straps on everything. Anything on that roof is anchored to the roof some way, whether cable or strap, because they already know what to expect when the storm comes. They want to limit that too. So we do see a lot of anchoring products going on for the industrial side. The private sector just doesn't invest money into it because property managers, they just do to manage the property. They're not looking at it for 20 years. So
They're following code.
yeah. So I mean, you see the hospital, the medical industries, the food processing industries, they really put a lot of effort into the roof for safety and strap downs. But your standard property manager grocery store, they just want something to keep the water.
It's interesting when you really think about how much more is on the roof today, right? Solar, water heater, telecommunications. I don't know. There's
Satellite.
satellite.
Yeah.
We just did a job for a client. We had to go install Starlinks on
Oh,
131 buildings
oh well.
Holy
across the
cow.
state.
Well,
Each building needed a Starlink installed. So, I mean, that's just another penetration on the roof.
right,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, are you seeing that I mean, because you have a combination of steep and low.
Yes.
You have a lot of low pitch too, don't you? Or
Not as much,
not as
but
much,
yeah,
yeah.
mostly steep. I mean, there's a lot of just residential homes that have low and,
Yeah,
right,
yeah,
steep.
yeah.
So sometimes we'll just,
Yeah,
tie
but
in.
when you think about Starlink, you think about the satellite dishes,
Yeah.
you think about the water. Now, the solar, pushing solar all the time, it is changing that perspective. And when a storm hits, it's really not about the roof coming up; it's about those things coming
Penetrations,
up and
yeah.
hurting people,
Yeah.
and then water
Yeah.
getting in.
Yeah, I mean, I see solar panels on shingles and I cringe every time. I'm
Yeah.
like, what are you doing? Don't do that.
I think one of the things you'll see too, to Michael's point of learning the lessons from the storms and changing how we do things. Unfortunately, with the insurances, I think you're going to see where the insurance companies are going to not only want to see your roof under warranty. I know I've seen that in California where they're just canceling policies because your roof might be perfectly okay, but it's under warranty. But I think the next thing that's going to come is some kind of inspection or preventive maintenance plan. Prove to us that you are maintaining this asset that we are having to insure.
Right.
And I think to that point, I could see a lot of these things eventually getting across the country
Yeah.
when the money, when
Right.
people realize it's just not a nuisance, but now the data has shown me that I'm losing money or it's costing me money, and then you're going to see that. I think it's going to
I,
become
I
even more.
do I do have to say this year I've seen our request for inspections and inspection reports triple.
Wow.
And I like to think it's because of my sales team and my training I get from people, but I kind of see it's the norm. It's the insurance company demanding I want a report on your roof maintenance. But that's one of the things
Yeah.
that I do see even for homeowners. Homeowners wanting to get wind mitigation reports done. I mean, we don't do those as a commercial contractor, but people call us every day and say, "Hey, I got a house. I need a wind mitigation report."
Yeah,
and
we
inspection."
include wind mits in all
Yeah.
of our placements.
Yeah.
So that
Makes sense.
just that
Yeah.
people wanting having to get them inspections done has I've seen increased about 60% over last year before the storms. And I believe it's just because people are trying to document, be more preventative for the next storm.
Do you see that? I agree. I think that's a great point with it on commercial. Do you see it on residential too? Because we keep hearing about residential contractors starting to look at service and maintenance for the residential, and it would seem like if any place here in Florida, that's probably something that's going to be happening.
It's something we've been talking about for years, especially on the tile front. I mean, tile
Yeah.
is a no-brainer, right? But we just haven't pulled the trigger. But it's got to come.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think you see it in certain markets where you're in a market where we don't replace roofs as often as we do, let's say, in a Florida or a Texas or in
Yeah.
Oklahoma,
Right.
right? I come from Iowa, the Northeast, right? The Northwest, right? Where you see more repair and maintenance because that shingle roof's going to be there for 25
Yeah.
to 30
Yeah.
years,
Yeah.
right? And I mean, as we become more diversified, not only in our jobs and our roles and our lives, I mean, how many more people are there today that just aren't going to put a ladder up on their roof to clean out their gutters,
Yeah.
right? And right there,
They're
that's
more than
home,
happy to hire somebody to do
that's
that.
home repair and maintenance for your service department right
Yeah.
there for residential. And I think we find more and more of those where it's just like, well, I'll have somebody do that for me. And nothing
Well-
against that. That's fine.
Well,
but
let's not
that's what-
forget that the average age of a homeowner is 54, right? So young
go.
people are not buying homes, right?
Yeah.
They can't
Yeah.
afford it, right? So that consumer base is already an aging population. So right, you got to think about what their capabilities are, right?
Yeah. I'm not going to clean out my gutters. Sorry.
Yeah.
I'm like just no.
There you go.
No, and I think that is changing. One of the things that I'm kind of thinking about too is as you look at Florida and what you all are dealing with, right? Insurance, legislation, labor, which again, yeah, you can start a service maintenance department. Are you going to have the labor, the
Yeah.
technicians?
Yeah.
But how do you see, and Johnny, I'm going to start with you again because I know you have a view of the entire country. How do you see Florida policies, regulations, insurance, stuff? How do you see that kind of going across country?
both fortunately and fortunately.
Yeah.
There's some really good things that we do here because of the of the storms, right? We've
Right.
learned a lot, um, and it is starting to branch. We when we market, for example, we say, hey, we're Miami-Dade, we're all these things, and we lead with that
Yeah.
because that has everybody knows, hey, if you meet that,
Right. Then,
Right.
you're
yeah,
good,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Because
Yeah.
they know Florida codes are so strict.
Yeah.
So it is absolutely expanding, throughout the country. You know, where it's going to go. I mean, obviously the coastlines first.
Yeah.
California seems to jump right on board with pretty much anything that Florida's doing, and even right now we're starting to see Florida jumping on board with kind of what's going on in California with the fire
I
codes,
was gonna say, they
and
seem to
fire
kind
rated
of
underling.
influence each other.
Yeah. And then
Mhm.
Europe
Yeah.
influences Cali.
Yeah. And
So,
then,
Yeah, the
then
two
they
did.
work.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it starts
So,
there, and yeah.
Yeah.
and that's not necessarily a bad thing. Learning from what's going on there, and what didn't work and what worked. Um,
And right in the middle of the country, I'm not gonna lie, it's hitting the hail zones too.
yeah, the
Right
hell's
now,
Tornado Alley.
my deductible went from 1 to 3%, and now if I try to even shop around for homeowners insurance, they're like, "Oh, you had a hail claim 2 years ago, so
right.
No thanks.
no."
Yeah. Yeah.
How about
That's
that?
it.
Yeah.
Well, living in the mountains of Oregon with fires everywhere around us, I'm just like holding my breath. Right now, I called the insurance agent. Are we good? She's like, yeah, you're good. Don't just hide.
Don't call me again.
Until we rezone something, and then
Yeah.
you may not,
I
Yeah.
know.
because they're in a different zone.
Then it could change. As we're going through it. Well, I want to kind of flip back a little bit to immigration. The hot
Yay.
topic. Yeah, yeah. We had a great coffee conversations again with Trent Cotney on really how to deal with ICE and ICE raids and uh, working with your employees. But I am, you started us out on this, and so I would like to go a little bit deeper on just how you as a company are kind of dealing with this, and what have you had to instill different changes? How it's obviously it's affecting your culture. There's just no question it's going to do that. But talk to us a little bit about really the immigration, and are you getting involved on a state level?
Yeah, we're right in the middle of this. Like, just happened a few days ago. But we did have ICE come in and do an I-9 audit, and our paperwork's pretty clean, right? So we did an I-9 audit, it was fine. Trent is our attorney on
Yeah.
record, and so we immediately called him, and he even told us, probably no big deal. They're just doing an I-9 audit. You're fine. You're fine. Well, turns out we're not fine. They had flagged a lot, like probably 100 people.
Wow.
You only know what you know.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so we have to come with, documentation or let them go.
Or let them go.
And Florida passed E-Verify last year. I think it was July of last year or 2 years ago.
About 2 years.
But right, so all your labor prior to that was grandfathered in.
Okay.
So
Now they're all having to go through E-Verify or potentially.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so where do you, and it just happened 2 days ago, so I won't put you
yeah,
in
to
tears.
be determined what the story.
It's all
Yeah,
fresh.
I know.
yeah. I mean,
know.
we're just trying to figure out how we're going to do this, right? I mean, how do
Yeah.
we tell our customers that signed contracts 4 to 6 weeks ago that now you might have to wait another month or
Right.
two? I don't know.
Right.
Yeah, we're in the middle of it.
Wow.
Yeah,
We're with you.
yeah,
We're with you.
yeah.
What are you hearing from
It's,
your
I
customers?
know it's tough because I know when I was a contractor, we went through that and lost. I want to say it was a third of our workforce at one time, maybe 25 or 30%. It was tough.
Yeah.
You know.
We're
And
talking
again,
a lot of crews.
you don't know what you don't know. You went through all the proper things that you had to by law.
We did.
and it comes up with what it comes up with. But
Right.
I see a lot of my customers around that are focusing on training. To what a lot of these guys talked about is you're going to be affected in it one way or another, because even if you are a company who's not going to lose anybody through immigration,
Yeah.
other companies in the market are,
Yes.
and then they're going to become looking for your
More
resources.
for your labor.
So
Yeah.
if
Yep.
you're not training your own guys, if you don't have a career path for your people to stay with you and other
Yeah.
reasons to stay with you, one of the things we did at Cape Post is we helped shepherd are people that had green cards that were here legally through the citizenship process,
Right.
and provided materials and study and sometimes even pay or loans to get that stuff done. But you have to go above and beyond to win. I mean, look, you said everything's piling on,
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
right? If we
Yes.
just keep doing
And
that
it's
the way we
all
do things,
on the contractor's shoulders.
Exactly.
Right? Training. I mean, everything, right? There's no like industrial support, like, I don't know.
that's why we have each other. That's why we
Yeah,
have things like
exactly.
FRSA and Roofers
Yeah,
Coffee.
exactly.
Yeah, and that's really, I think, to your point, that's where we have to come together as an
Yeah.
industry and as a family,
Yeah.
and really
We're
kind of
louder together.
and be louder together.
Yeah.
And that's why Roofing Day in DC is so important.
Yes.
I mean, and it is frustrating because of all the people I met with when we were at Roofing Day, and all we had all 50 states there covered, and everyone was like, "Yes, I agree with you on immigration. Yes, does anything happen? No." And so it is, even though the industry is really shouting this from the rooftops, and not
Right.
just roofing,
Right.
across the board. And I mean, you're seeing the same things.
It is, and it is training. I have to say, we recognized that a while back. Is you have to give your employees a career path. You have to train them. I think right now, out of all admin people at Sutter, I think 70% came from the field or lower down in the company. We
That's great.
strongly believe, but they don't get there. You just can't put somebody into place and expect them to succeed. We
Right.
do a lot of training. We do a lot of outside sales training. We bring people in to train on people. The programs that are out there work.
Yeah.
But you have to be willing to invest in your people, and if you don't invest, you're just throwing money away.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I believe that it's not going to fix the immigration problem. I mean, that's just I don't know how that's ever going to get fixed. I mean, the people that are working for us, they're hardworking people. They're just trying to support their family like anybody else.
Yep.
They deserve to be here working, but all the politics get in the way and just muck everything up. So, but that's a subject that's going to be very hard to do. But if
Yeah.
you do have somebody, invest in them, train them, give them a career path, give them training on which direction you want them to go, and it'll benefit you in the long run. It's not going to happen overnight, but it'll happen over years, and then you have long-term employees. Then you can say, I got 5 or 6 25-year employees. I got 30-year employees. That's something to be proud of.
Yeah.
Especially when customers hear that you got a foreman coming out that's a 25-year foreman for you.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't you can't not sell that to the
Right.
customer.
That is amazing. We talk a lot about the contractor side, but I know manufacturing is having a lot of the same problems when it comes to labor and immigration. What are you seeing in your plans?
Well, I mean, labor shortage in general,
Yeah.
outside of immigration has been a struggle for us. We absolutely have a policy of try to promote from within and train from within. We obviously we don't have the hands-on roofers that you guys have. But what affects you affects us.
Right.
I mean, if your jobs are being put 3, 4, 6 weeks out,
Right.
well, that means less products being moved.
Right.
Right.
So even though internally we don't really have an immigration issue, so we're not having that I-9 issue, but if it affects you, it affects us,
Sure.
right? So
Right.
and it
Yeah.
affects our partners, which are our distribution
Yeah.
partners. So
Yeah.
it is tough, and everybody said it, but training is the key. We've got to work with these young folks and work with these people and get them on board. And I don't know, it sounds like a side business here or something. I need a
Yeah.
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 roofing
Roofing
apprenticeship
school.
school. Yeah, 100%.
100%.
We
Yeah.
need a legit one here.
Yeah.
I mean,
We do.
I think Trent's talked about that too. So
Yeah.
get
No,
in on this.
Because I'm pretty
somewhere in the-
sure if I have to lay off 100 people and I put an ad out, I'm sure they're going to come running
Right.
to be roofers.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
believe me,
All the
I've
citizens
got 3 sons,
running.
and none of them want to be a roofer.
Right.
Yeah.
Well,
And
you
they
guys
but
have
they
a
went
little
through
thing
a
called humidity too.
I mean,
yeah.
Guys,
Well, they went through they were raised in a generation where they were taught different things, and kind of a me first type thing, and
They'd rather be
you know,
social
they
influencers.
right. they want to be social influencers and be on the computer, and
Yeah.
and I'm going, you can make really good money,
Yeah.
and you don't have to be on the roof forever. Like I know you guys promote from within,
Right.
and okay, you're on the roof for a few years, but
Right.
you have to educate them. You have to
Yeah.
be able to see that
Right.
that company is willing to work with you.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's again not just in the roofing trade, but in construction trades in general.
Yeah.
It's really bad in Florida. So we need to focus on that.
What about technology? This technology is one of the things that we keep talking about. That this is going to change the scene, right? And it's probably not coming as fast as everybody needs.
The
But
robot roofer.
I know. Well, but I'm just thinking of even in manufacturing, it's so far, in some ways, it's so far ahead because it's easier to automate
Yeah.
what's going on in your plants. But up on the roof, we're still in process,
We still
right?
need
There's a
people.
lot of things out there. Yeah.
It's we don't sell a widget, right? We're selling people
Right.
and
Yeah.
what they can do with their hands,
Right.
you know,
Right.
and they're imperfect, right?
Yeah. So, what are some of the products and technologies that you're seeing out there that are actually time savers, that are actually,
I mean,
helping?
from a marketing perspective,
Yeah.
I mean, I think ChatGPT AI is going to take over marketing as we know it. It's going to
Yeah.
take over SEO strategy as we know it. I think Google just hit below 90% market share benchmark for the first time,
First time.
in decades. And
Yeah.
so, right, I mean, certainly ChatGPT and AI
Yeah.
has a lot to do with that, right? I mean, from a marketing perspective, it's changing and it's changing so rapidly that when you have some of these new guys coming on board, these new contractors who are, tradesmen, right, by their skill set, and then having to go in and try to enter into this digital world, right, where it's Google is the king, and you just have to live in Google's world, right? And now with the incumbent of AI, I mean, it's just things are just changing so rapidly, and I mean, as a CMO, I have 20 plus years plus a bachelor's degree in this stuff, right? But not, I mean, a typical contractor doesn't.
No.
And so, I mean, it's becoming really hard just to even start a business
Yeah.
and start to rank on the digital world, in the digital space. It's wild.
Yeah.
I think the drones and combined with the AI will do a lot of stuff for on the roof communication, on the roof inspections. I still don't think even in a repair and maintenance aspect, I don't think it's going to replace boots on the roof to diagnose a specific issue, right? But again, so much in business, we don't need to drill down. We need something quick and fast and an overview, and that's where it's really going to be able to help out. And as a person who came from the roof as well, anytime I see the mini macadams
Yeah.
on the roof, I love seeing those. And
I know.
those are cool. And everybody's like, "What's those?" I said, "I'll show a video."
Yeah.
I said, and I love those because again, it's gonna help with the labor issue.
Yeah.
Would I love it if we could still have tons of 12-man roofing crews? Yes, but if we could take something like that and still get the same productivity and respond to the customers with that same speed,
Right.
but unfortunately have to deal with less manpower, it's where we're going to have to go.
And I think it's a given that we're going there, right? Because manufacturers are creating products for time savings, right? They're either less taping, less seaming, restoration. When we're talking about coatings, I'm still someone is going to come across with the Roomba that will coat a roof. I'm just saying, it's going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, I think the
Grippy
narrative
Roomba.
is,
There you go.
the narrative is that immigrations are taking our jobs. No, technology is taking our jobs.
Yeah. And right now, because we don't have enough people, we have to have, and technology will fill those gaps, right? When you need it, when there's a problem, it comes in. So what are you seeing technology wise on the roof that's helping you, even with the technology of products,
Well,
right?
on the insulation side, there's a lot of stuff that's going on. There's modified new heat guns coming out, screw guns, GPS tracking for your smaller tools or your bigger tools on generators. The generators are getting more depth, and I think that's just going to keep on evolving. Um, Going back to the drones, I think that's more of a sales and marketing tool for us because we have our roof inspectors have a drone follow them on the roof, and then drone pictures, not just having a guy with a camera or a phone, having that overview drone picture in your inspection reports,
Best of both worlds.
taking before and after photos of your projects and put them on social media. The drones now got infrared drones. We can actually do an infrared scan for the customer with the drone
Moisture.
without having to hire a third party to come do it.
Right.
So I think the drones is a huge tool for roofers, but I 100% agree. If you don't touch that roof, you can't diagnose it for sure and say
Right.
this is the problem. You have to be boots on the ground roofs, but drones for us is a huge marketing and sales tool for us, and it gives us a step above the other roofers when we have drone shots and no inspections, and they got somebody with a camera or a phone on the roof.
Everything. And I just, through RT3, we visited Oracle. And one of the things they were using drones for was inventory on the roof, where people are flying over and just checking jobs. And through AI, through the pictures, it can inventory where they're at on a job. And I know, I thought that was really cool too. And so it seems to me like at some point, some of that is going to start, we're going to get it more into the production. And it may be more just fact or checking, right? Safety. You can have drones fly over and AI can check for safety. And is it being followed once you train it to do those kind of things? That can be great for residential, right? When you think about that at some point. Yeah.
They have a love-hate relationship with safety.
Yes.
And also the CRM programs and sales programs.
Yeah.
Those are becoming very important now. I mean, with the AI integration with those now, you can really improve your sales tactics, take your service tickets, your production tickets, reporting, safety reports, production reports. I've seen a lot of money being put in technology with and a lot of the people here today in the show.
Yeah.
That's a huge tool that I see is going to help a lot of roofers out. You invest in the money and the return you get from it just to have that technology behind you for the speed of processing a work order or having your guys installing a roof and doing a daily report, having to go to the customer the same night. It's that technology is really taking off, and I think it's going to be the next big step.
To Michael's point, it's also with the rise of APIs. You
Yeah.
find a lot of people that don't have to choose
Connect
just
everything.
one.
Yep.
You don't have
Right.
to choose just one technology now. I can use 5 or 6 different tools that are the right tool to solve the problem for my customer quickest.
Yeah.
And now with the rise of APIs, they can all talk to each other.
Right.
And I think not only does it help the organization, it's becoming a consumer norm.
Yeah.
Right?
Mhm.
Like I can
Yes.
book my dentist appointment and I get the automatic text confirmation. I get the don't forget that, right? So it's like if your dentist is doing it, we've got to do it.
Yeah. Why
know?
is it the roofing? I know.
Right.
I
So
think
it's
that
not
all
only
the time.
it's not only
And
beneficial, it's like
portals.
you're gonna be left behind.
Yeah,
right?
we're all used to portals, right? We go
Yes.
into a portal,
Yeah.
we have all of our documentation
Yes.
there. We know everything that's there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that communication.
Right.
is
But it's a
really
new
true.
way of communication, right? And it's
Yeah.
becoming what's expected.
I've
Yeah.
been saying for a couple of years, I sell data. I don't
Yeah.
do roofing. I sell
The
data.
data.
That's all anybody really. At the end of it, that's all anybody wants is the data.
That's
What,
interesting.
Right.
Yeah.
what's going on with my roof? Why did it leak? Where's my invoice?
Yeah.
How many squares does it get done today? When's the next job starting? Everything's data,
So
data,
true.
data.
Yeah.
So, and my guys look at me weird when I say, "Hey, we're selling data, guys."
Yeah.
And but they have to once they see what I mean, they buy into it because that's what that customer wants. So with all the internet and everything else, it's so fast communication. You got to tell me what happened on that roof. So you have to do your daily reports. You have to make sure everything's filled out so we can give that data to the client. And in the end, that's all anybody ever wants is the
Right.
data.
Yeah.
That's really
I
true.
worked at Publix as a brand strategist
Oh,
for,
okay.
for 6 years, and I did this whole presentation one time on data, and I wore a shirt that said "Data's the new bacon." It went over well with that audience. Yeah, but yeah, I agree. Right? I mean,
Yeah.
marketers have been preaching that for a decade, and
Yeah.
and now it's like
Mhm.
it's starting to hit processes and procedures, and
I've had some of my best
operations.
customers tell me that, you could show up and fix my leak the first time, but if you don't log into IVR and do the paperwork, I have to find another roofer. But you could show up 3 or 4 times to fix that leak, and if you're logging into IVR and doing the paperwork, I'll keep you forever. And that hits you in a different way. It's like
Right.
they do care about customer and quality, but it just shows you how much that data they have to answer to somebody else who has to
Yeah.
answer to somebody else. So you got to be because communication and data has to be the forefront.
That's so important.
Yeah.
Okay, so along this lines, technology, the technology in products that are making it time saving. What do you see at APOC, and what are you guys
So
looking at?
technology-wise, we're using a lot of the same things that they are. We use this, Salesforce, sales management software. We integrate that with our inventory and our sales numbers so that our teams have real-time data on where they're at and where their customers are at, where their orders are at, and that's huge. We've also are integrating chatbot, AI chatbot with technical support. Where you're calling into a line and you're having a text conversation with a chatbot.
Yeah.
So we're absolutely going that way. I actually had got a call from a MIT student and graduate that he's doing an AI study for construction industry, and so the conversation was, well, hey, how do you see AI being able to help you, and how could it help you in manufacturing and all these different things? So we had an excellent conversation, and a lot of it kind of goes around integrating and being able to have it determine downtimes and product maintenance or equipment maintenance and all of that. And those programs have been around forever, but it was all manual data. But having this learning engine that can already do that and produce the information. So we're seeing that technology wise for our products. We're constantly. I mean, that's innovative chemical products. That's our name.
Yeah.
So we're always looking at different polymers and resins and formulas and underlayments and different things we can do Whether it be to, make the product better, make it less expensive for us to make, but still be functional and work well. And of course, we're always looking for that, that true innovation that, hey, something brand new, nobody's ever thought of, and be that guy. For manufacturing, that's the golden egg right there. If you can do that.
And the coding room.
Yeah.
That's on their list too.
Coding
Coding room.
Coding Roombas, yeah.
Roomba.
Well, I think those are
Give
coming
me
right
credit.
before the murder bots.
Right, right.
I know it could do it. Actually, I have to say, at World of Concrete, I did see a robot that sprays and is a sprayer, and it
Yeah,
just
so there's
works the roof.
for the coating world, there is a company out there that sells kind of robotic or automated spray rigs where it's multiple spray lines.
Yeah,
Predominantly, they're using it on metal roof where it can go up and paint the ribs. So
yeah,
it basically goes up one side, comes down the other.
yeah.
There's still human interaction involved in that at this point.
Yeah.
But absolutely, everybody's looking for. I mean,
That
I
next.
think we need to look for ex-Walmart employees because there's no cashiers there. And see if they want to do roofing.
Yeah. Well, I think that's the trick, is getting this out there. I want to say, and I can't believe this hour has gone by so fast. In fact, we got 4 minutes, but I want to say, Michael, as I'm sitting here and I'm thinking about you, you are on a lot of coffee conversations watching, usually. And so it's really, I just want to say it's a pleasure to have you on this side of the camera. But I think that's one of the things that we need to do as an industry too, is just taking this information that we have and continuing to get it into the hands of the contractors so that you guys have the tools, whether that's the ICE regulations from Trent, the new products. There is a shingle robot from Renovate Robots.
I've seen it.
Yep, yep.
Yep.
And it's not ready yet, but I think it's going to happen someday.
Yeah, I wonder if Florida code will,
Yeah,
how long that'll take to get. Yeah,
Oh,
building
that'd
codes
be
are
fun
different.
to
Yeah,
see the robot at Dade County.
yeah, right.
Legislature against robots.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
But I want to say thank you to all of you. Thank you so much. We're so happy to have you as part of the coffee shop. Tracy, Johnny, you guys are on every day. In fact, check out the directories for Service First Solutions and for APOC. Obviously, Cody's Coffee Shop, sponsored by APOC. Sutter has a directory on there, so you can get more information about Michael. You have your company now on there in our R Club with a directory. So all of this information is there. Let's keep it going. Let's keep this conversation going, because what I learned today is there's a lot of work to be done. And there's a lot of things that we need to do together.
Yeah.
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 So last thoughts.
I think just as we've been talking about, business shifts and tariffs and technology, right? I mean, I think the resounding theme is just the rate of change, right? Business has always been about the latest and greatest, but I just feel like since COVID, right, the acceleration has just gotten so much faster. So
Yeah.
just trying to keep up is just a part-time
Yeah.
job despite itself.
Keep the information coming.
I would say just with action comes
Yeah.
change.
Yeah.
If we want the immigration system to change, if we want to be able to find new employees, if we want our employees trained, what are the actions we are going to take to make sure that the results that we want are,
Yeah.
and a lot of times it just takes a little bit of stepping back, planning, and then follow. Right? Too often in this year we're running from problem to problem to problem.
Yeah.
Take a step. Take a step back, plan your actions, you will find success.
And like you are so involved with associations, and I know all of you are, getting involved with your associations, working together. I think that's so true. It takes action. Michael.
Me, my strong is just training and education. I mean, you have to invest in training people, but for yourself, you mentioned a lot of coffee conversations. I'm busy, but it's nothing for me to have you guys on in the background. I'm working. In fact, people walk in, they're like, "You want to meet?" And I'm like, "No, I'm just listening to the coffee conversation." And then when something piques my interest, I hit the chat room real quick.
Yeah,
But I
I
mean,
know, I love it.
you always can learn something. You never know everything.
Yeah.
I travel all over the country. I go to different organizations. I visit different people. I always come back with something small that I learned that I can help to improve my business, improve my people. So open up your mind. Go visit other people. Go visit other peer groups. Is great.
Yeah.
It's great. Peer groups is wonderful.
Yeah.
I mean, you never know everything about roofing, and just learning a little piece of information and applying that to your business can help you so much.
Yeah, I love it.
Well, and roofing's always changing too, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
always changing. Johnny, bring us home.
So, hey, we're here at FRSA. So I got to say, we are Florida strong.
Yeah,
We learn from adversity. We're going to go through the struggles. We're going through some struggles now. We've gone through struggles in the past.
Yeah.
We're going to learn from them. We're going to get stronger from it. And, this too will pass.
love it. I love it. Thank you all. This has just been the best hour. I can't tell you how much I appreciate you all. Thank you. Thank you for watching. This is the kind of information that you need. These are the topics that we need to come together on. I just think this has been so inspirational. So thank you for watching. Will be available on demand within 24 to 48 hours. So be sure to share it out there. Let people know. Also, stay tuned. We have more coming from the Soundstage, sponsored by QXO here at the Florida Show. We're going to have interviews the rest of the afternoon. We'll see you soon.